Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Wow, what a great quarter. Well done to everyone at Tesla and Elon Musk. And to achieve it with Model S and X lines down too. It looks like Tesla really are on their way to do over 1 million cars this year. And well done to all of you who held through the dip, and especially those of you who bought the dip. Anyway, yes, it would seem I actually had the closest delivery numbers out of everyone I saw. My prediction was 187,500, and we came in at 184,800, just 2,700 off, or 1.4%. Okay, I don't like to brag, but I must say I do feel quite proud about it. Now, not so many of you watched a video I did earlier with a full econometrics model on predicting Q4's revenue too. There's the video still up if you want to see, but in that I predicted the revenue was 10.9 billion and it came in at 10.744. Again, 1.4% off. This is not to brag, but to establish credibility. Not just credibility from you to me, but for myself. It's good to build up my own confidence too when it comes to trading. I didn't just throw out some numbers that I thought might be the deliveries. I fully believed in them so much that I backed them up. How? As some of you know, I've recently purchased 4 options contracts. I know a lot of you are kicking yourselves that Tesla was actually under $600 last week, and you didn't pick up any more. It was too cheap. So I purchased as much Tesla as I could, but using options. And I'll worry about how to pay to exercise them later. And for those of you who are wondering why I didn't tell you to buy more shares or options, that's not my place, and nor will I feel comfortable doing that. Sure, if I had back then, I could now be saying, see, told you so, but equally, I would never want to risk a chance of ever having to say, sorry I advised you to do that, if it went down. I might have got some predictions pretty close to the money in the past, but I still can't see into the future. So anyway, like I was saying, I need to build my own confidence at times. I'm sure we've all been there, looking at our trading account with a trade we're thinking about buying. Do I buy 10 more shares? With your finger on the mouse and the cursor over the buy button, yet you still don't quite have the conviction to click. It's all very well saying, oh yes, I want to buy $10,000 of shares, but when it actually comes time to part with the money, it can't always be so easy. Well, trust me when I say it's even harder with options, particularly when one contract costs over $20,000. And that's what it is, just a contract. And it has an expiry date. You don't own any shares, just a right to buy them. But I think it likely that next week I will have made more money on my options. Which brings me back to my point. It's more important to me to trust my numbers than it is to you. I'm still human after all. As much as I try and remove emotion from money, when you do have a $20,000 options trade, it's never easy to click the buy button, let alone 4 of them. So what is it that I'm doing that seems to get the most accurate predictions? It's simple. I follow the math as much as possible. I don't lie to myself. If a number seems too big or too small, I leave it. That's the number. I don't try and manipulate any numbers at all. I just say what the math tells me. So what was the reason for this jump in deliveries, considering S and X was down? Well, this was my whole theory. At Fremont, last quarter, we didn't have Model Y fully ramped up for the whole quarter, so it was obvious Tesla would be producing more. And the same for Model Y in Shanghai. This is 3 months of ramping when the jumps are the highest, and we compared them with how much they ramped the Model 3 up in Shanghai too, the same time last year, and it just seemed obvious. But I had to keep with my conviction on my numbers, despite hearing all these credible sources saying so much lower than me. You can't let them deter you. You can't do your own numbers and then suddenly change them because of the feedback you're hearing from others. In fact, it was Gordon Johnson, an infamous Tesla bear, who actually was the next closest. Some people are speculating that he was just throwing out a high number so he could then say how much they missed his estimate by. Either way, he was still the next closest, whether through malice or luck. But trust the numbers, not the analysts. Now, what about me then? Have I just got lucky a few times with my predictions? I obviously love doing numbers. It's what I'm good at. Math is my number one skill, but business is my real passion. So this begs the real question, what about all these crazy price targets I've been coming up with lately? Like I said, I stick with the numbers, I don't manipulate them if they don't look right. Just because a number's too big, I don't say, oh, that can't be right. There's no way a number can be that high. It would make Tesla the biggest company in history, so I'll have to change it. No, I just left it as it was and explained all the rational reasons for it, leaving it open for anyone else to edit if they thought my reasoning was erroneous. So what if my price targets are right? I've used the same process, basic math, with numbers that we're expecting. What if we could see Tesla north of $5,000 in 2025? I mean, wow, that is some life-changing money for anyone. And what if my bull case comes to fruition at $15,000? Yes, these numbers sound absolutely insane, just like how a lot of you said my delivery numbers were. I'm pretty sure Tesla has mathematicians and finance people that make my skills look pale in comparison. I'm sure they can work out the same things we have. I.e., hey everyone, if we can get enough batteries, then look how much money we can all make. Oh, wow, that is good, isn't it? Well, let's do absolutely everything we can to get enough batteries. I'm sure a conversation very similar to that has happened at Tesla. Okay, so I'm sure you all want to know what the price will be on Tuesday. Delivery numbers are a needle mover, especially when they are this much higher than expectations. I think this should be a 10% jump, possibly higher. I would expect we get to $750 or $800. So let's say in the middle of that, we could see the stock reach around $775, which feels much better than when it was down in the 500s. I wouldn't even be too surprised if we surpass $800 either. The bad news is, for those of you waiting for that dip, you might not get it. When people tell me they're waiting for the dip, my advice is to dollar cost average. Put some money in anyway, just in case it doesn't dip. Waiting for the dip is no different from trying to time the market as an opportunist. There are a lot of people who've read a few books and think it's all about economic cycles. I can just wait for the recession and buy it big. Except when the recession, market crash, or dip occurs, the narrative changes to match. For example, the news isn't reporting, oh wow, the stock market is so cheap right now. If I had some money to put in, I could make a fortune. No, it's closer to, the stock market has crashed and may keep crashing, and this might be the end, folks. The entire financial system could come down with it. And then these opportunists don't have the conviction they had when it was boom time. Same with the dip. Back in the day when Tesla dipped sometimes, like with production hell, it wasn't like, oh cool, Tesla is down 25%, I can pick up some shares on sale. No, it's like, oh dear, Tesla might actually not be able to sort out their production and could possibly go under. In other words, there are reasons the stock dips. There's a reason the stock or market is down, and it's usually some bad news. On the other times, when you're waiting for the dip, the stock could double, and then you really kick yourself. This is why I say it's better to use a dollar cost average strategy instead of waiting for the dip. Personally, I can't stand being out of Tesla stock at all, so I just buy in. I've overpaid, for lack of a better word, in the past. I saw my entire holdings drop in value nearly half at one stage. This was the heat and pressure that actually converted my hands into solid diamonds back then. So what will revenue and earnings be for the quarter? Well, they might not be quite as good as we're hoping due to S and X lines being down and likely significant capital being spent on upgrading them. Profits are really hard to predict due to so many unknowns. On the other hand, Model Y in China is very profitable and using LFP batteries in Model 3 at Fremont. I will do a full econometrics model on what I predict the revenue now we've delivery numbers. Hopefully revenue is slightly higher than last quarter. Anyway, it's a great number we got today. So thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.